Can we live without friction? Friction is a force between two surfaces that are sliding, or trying to slide, across each other. For example, when you try to push a book along the floor, friction makes this difficult. Friction always works in the direction opposite to the direction in which the object is moving, or trying to move. Friction always slows a moving object down. The amount of friction depends on the materials from which the two surfaces are made. The rougher the surface, the more friction is produced. Friction also produces heat. If you rub your hands together quickly, you will feel them get warmer. So, now you all must be thinking, why friction is important? The reason why friction is so important to our world is that it affects everything in motion. Friction changes or tends to change the moving object from moving by reducing its speed to zero, or stopping the stationary objects from moving. But sometimes we want to reduce friction. For example, we use oil to reduce the friction between the moving parts inside a car engine. The oil holds the surfaces apart and can flow between them. So, the main question is, can we live without friction? The answer is no, because all the things in motion are controlled by friction. Let us now take some daily routine examples where friction is used. We can walk only if we apply frictional force. Friction is what holds your shoe to the ground. Similarly, the friction present on the ice is very little. This is the reason why it is hard to walk on the slippery surface of the ice. While driving a vehicle, the engine generates a force on the driving wheels. This force makes the vehicle to move forwards. Friction is the force that opposes the tire rubber from sliding on the road surface. This friction avoids skidding of vehicle. Also, most of us don't know why the tires of vehicle have gaps in between. This is because it helps the vehicle to make a contact with the ground in wet conditions. In dry conditions, it is easy to drive a vehicle with plain tires. But in wet conditions, plain tires will not stop and just continue moving due to absence of friction. But gaps in between tires removes water from the way and helps tire to make contact with the ground to develop frictional force. Also, a frictional force is created when the tip of the pen comes in contact with the surface of the paper. Rolling friction is what comes into play while writing with a ballpoint pen, while sliding friction arises when one writes with a pencil. Considering that everything on Earth is composed of atoms and particles, and that all atoms and particles are held together by friction. So, what do you get when you take away friction? Nothing. You lose everything. Therefore, it is almost impossible to live without friction.